Okay, Asit, on the back half of the show, I want to talk about some of the opportunities for Endeavor to grow and kind of leverage their assets, as well as some of the risks facing the business today. In their S1, Endeavor talks about one of their opportunities is just increasing demand from audiences for content. We see, more and more, Netflix, Amazon, Disney Plus. There's just more and more demand for content from consumers every day, and Endeavor is trying to position themselves to be able to deliver that both through their relationships with talent, their owned assets they're moving into, as well as just the marketing and production services they offer to other entities. When you look at all these assets that Endeavor has together, do you think these pieces really fit together and add leverage? When you look at the S1 and the competitive advantages that Endeavor calls out, do you buy the case that they're making, Asit?
I'm tempted to, because as one of the world's largest, if not the largest, I believe they are the largest. The reason I'm hedging here is if they've lost some of their writing talent, which we're going to talk about in just a second here. But as the largest representator of talent and also one of the largest really conglomerates of content and these subcategories that Nick has been talking about, television packaging fees, sponsorships, ticket sales, license fees, data streaming fees, pay-per-view programming, etc. As one of these largest conglomerates, they have the fuel. There's no problem with this company increasing revenue, and they're very savvy at acquiring to add on not just more revenue, but more diverse revenue. The question is, has the focus been so much on adding all these services that it's detracted from a really basic part of the financial equation, which is, once you add new revenue, you have to find operating leverage. You have to increase margin, cut costs, so those profits start flowing to the bottom line. I believe that Endeavor has the pieces, but what investors are going to ask, institutional investors, when they view the road shows, that is, when this company goes on the road and pitches this IPO to pension funds, to big corporate investors, they're really going to dig into the question of whether the management team, Ari Emanuel and Mr. Whitesell, who will also talk briefly about Patrick Whitesell, are these more really awesome talent and acquisition moguls? Do they have the type of clinical operational acumen to now start making profit out of what's been a money-losing business for a number of years? And that's why I can't seem to get sold on this equation. I do want to flip it back to you, Nick, to talk about their acquisition expertise. And I've got a small point to make about that. But, the other side of this coin is they're really good at acquiring small companies, adding to their intellectual properties. Could that be the piece that makes them attractive as an investment? So I'll ask you about their acquisitions.
Yeah, I think when you look at Ari Emanuel, he started Endeavor, the agency, the historical business that led to what it is today in 1995, and really had a vision to shake up, the management industry. And he's really done that. He's had a vision, and he's been talking about taking Endeavor public for a long period of time. So his vision has clearly played out, and he's been very aggressive in doing so. There does appear to be some opportunity as Endeavor moves into content to leverage their relationships with clients to maybe do some vertical content creation for their clients that can create new opportunities that didn't exist before, where you can see all these assets kind of rhyming together to create more value than they would on their own. It's to be determined to see how they will be integrated. I'd really like to continue to watch this company over several quarters. Even most of these acquisitions, I mean, the big moves into podcasts and sports betting are only a year or two old. So it's hard to see how what the final product will be after the integration takes place. But what are your thoughts there, Asit? You said you had some additional thoughts there on what's going on with M&A there.
Yeah, just so briefly, one thing they seem to have a talent with is increasing value, because they've got really a stable of institutional or really private equity investors. And they seem to have a talent for making an acquisition and then selling off parts and pieces after making a company more valuable. The example I want to use is Learfield IMG College, which, as we said earlier, deals with college sports licensing. A very valuable business. And after really forming this company through the merger of two other companies, Endeavor turned around and sold. It had a 49% stake in Learfield IMG College. It turned around and sold recently a 13% stake back to Silver Lake, affiliates of Silver Lake Partners. And that was a pretty lucrative deal for them, because out of that, they were able to book a nearly $700 million gain on their books, which made up for losses in 2019. So there is a talent here for buying low, combining with other assets, selling not even the whole thing, but selling a slice of an entity at a higher price. So there's some value there. And I also did want to mention that one of their goals is to pursue more strategic M&A. As Endeavor has grown, you could make an argument that since they got a rich investor in the form of Silver Lake in 2012, they've done a lot of acquisitions. Not all of them have been the most strategic in nature. It's more of what we've been talking about, just building capabilities across this wide footprint. But the company says it's going to be pretty strategic going forward. So there's some opportunity there.
Yeah, last thing I'll say there on management and M&A, I think if you're going to buy into this company, you really need to believe in the vision of Ari Emanuel, who is the CEO of the company, as well as Patrick Weitzel, who's the chairman. They were co-CEOs for a period of time leading up to this, but those two men, along with Silver Lake, will dominate voting control of this business. Pretty much any decision that's going to happen with the company moving forward, they're going to have the voting rights to decide that. So you really have to believe in the vision of these folks moving forward, and be willing to give them a long leash, because I think there's going to be some volatility.